Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, Meseches BECHOROS, Daf Chavtes. We are holding at the Mishnah, which is on Chavches Amud Beis, on the very last line. As we learned yesterday, a fellow who has a Bechor, a Kohen who received a Bechor, and notices a mum, a blemish on that animal, he's meant to go and show it to a mumcha, to an expert, to determine whether in fact it is an absolute mum, it's a permanent blemish which enables the bechor to be consumed even outside Yerushalayim, more or less like an ordinary animal. So there were these experts who would issue these certifications. And the question is, can they accept a fee for their services? Now, why would you think not? So there are two approaches in understanding this halacha. So let's see the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, if a fellow who's a mumcha, an expert, who's authorized to inspect bechoros, if he takes a fee, in order to view the bechor, ein shechten al piv, one may not proceed to consume that bechor based on his certification. Rashi explains on the bottom line, what's wrong with taking money? Dilma mishum agra. Perhaps he'll be motivated by interest in making profit. Kasharle, that's why he's allowing it. Perhaps he's motivated by the money. So the only way we know that he's really objective is if he does it free of charge. Now, that's Rashi's approach. Others learn that it's really connected to the next Mishnah, where we learn that for teaching Torah, for performing a mitzvah, we learn it from a pasuk. Moshe Rabbeinu tells us we're meant to do it for the sake of Hashem, just because. We're not meant to get paid by human beings. Hashem takes care of us, gives us schar, lasat for doing all these wonderful things. But in this world, we're not meant to take payment for these services, unless, as we're going to see later, if there's loss of income, expenses. Okay, but otherwise, for the actual teaching, the actual ruling, in the Dayan's case, the actual bechor examination, all these are mitzvahs, all these are dissemination of Torah in various ways, various forms, in which case it's meant to be done for the sake of Hashem, purely, without any personal, financial gain or benefit. In which case, if the fellow takes money, you can't use his services. Elam came unless if he was a known expert. Turn to the next Amid Kila, like this righteous man called Elah, B'Yavne, in the town of Yavne. Rashi explains on the top line, he lived in Yavne, the Chasatu, Lechshad Bekach. He was known to be an upright, super honest, righteous person, unaffected by these payoffs, and would not be influenced by any financial gain in terms of determining his verdict on the other bechor. So when it comes to a person of this stature, there's no concern about being swayed by money. Now that's Rashi's approach, that the issue was dishonesty, but according to the other Mefarshim, there's a conceptual issue in receiving pay for performing mitzvahs and teaching Torah. So why would Elah be allowed? Because that was his primary activity. He was busy with this full time. In which case, he's got to pay his bills. So they allowed him to accept a standard fee. As we're going to see in a minute, it was a standard fee per inspection. Shetir loy chachamim liyes noitel. Chacham allowed him to accept a modest fee, but it was a standard set fee all across. Noitel arba isaros lebhemadaka, for inspection of a light animal, 4 isaros. Vishisha lagas, and 6 for the larger animal, which of course is harder to check. Bein tam ubein balmum, irrespective of the actual verdict that was issued, whether he certified it as a balmum, giving the owner a green light to eat it, or even if he turned him down, ruled it to be a tam, not a significant blemish, and did not allow him to shecht it. Either way, he would get paid the same amount. This would preempt any issues of, being affected, influenced by the eventual pay. Now, why is the rate higher for a large animal? My time? Well, high nafesh tirchei, the larger animal, is more difficult to check. Rashi explains, they have to rest it on the ground, turn it upside, right? High nafesh tirchei, vayla nafesh tirchei, as opposed to the light animal where the degree of difficulty is less. Hence, the lower fee. Ben tam, ben balmum, whether it turns out to be a tam or balmum, he gets the same amount. Ask the Gemara. What right does he have to get paid if he didn't give the owner a green light and he has no benefit from it? Bishleim balmum, I understand why you pay him for the balmum, mishum deka sharli, because he permitted the owner to eat it, so you got to know. Elotam amai, but why does he get paid for turning him down and ruling it as a tam? The answer is to preempt any appearance of impropriety. Otherwise, imagine he only gets paid for giving the owner a green light, for permitting it. It will arouse suspicion. Perhaps he's motivated by that fee. V'amar, people will say, V'amri, hai balmum. This animal, which is allegedly a balmum, really it's a tamhu. Why did the chacham allow it? Mishamagra, to get his fee. So that's why they enabled him to collect the same fee all across, whether he decides it to be a tam or balmum. This way, there's nothing swaying him in either direction. If that's the case, that we're concerned about impropriety, tam nami, even if he decides that it's a tam. Amri, the people will speculate, really balmumu, truthfully he's a balmum. He's covering it up. The reason why he's holding it back, the reason why the chacham is not allowing him to eat it, he's pretending that it's a tam, because he wants him to come back next time for another fee. So he's figuring, this will have to come back again. Right now, I'll give him the red light. In a month's time, he has another question, he'll come back again for another fee. So maybe again, he's motivated by financial greed. Says the Gemara, although he's getting paid for this inspection, but it's a lifetime fee. Chad zimnot kin l'rabbanon. Rabbanon only allow him to collect one time per animal. Trei zimni lo kin l'rabbanon. Rabbanon didn't allow him to collect another time. So he has no interest in prolonging the experience. He's not going to get paid again anyways. Interesting, this has a kasha. Well then, you can ask the other way. Let's say he decides that it's a balmum. Go ahead and eat it. No, maybe really it's a tam. The reason why he gave him the green light is because if he tells him tam, he's going to have to come back again and check it again, and Chacham is going to have to put in more time. So maybe that's what's motivating him. So he says, interesting, Teza says, he doesn't have an obligation to check it again. If he comes back again, decides to check it for him, he's not going to get paid again. But really, you can't force him to put in more time. So ultimately, he's not really gaining by covering it up. Again, even if it's a tam and he says it's a tam, he's not going to be forced to put in more work because next time he comes back, I have no time, I'm not going to do it. So if he ruled it as a balmum, we know it's legit. Okay, so again, you're not meant to accept payment for inspecting a bechor unless you're an expert like Ilo B'Yavne, who provided his service with a set fee, whether it was a tam or balmum. So that fee would preempt any issues of impropriety. Continues the Mishnah. Hanoitel schar ladon. Okay, now we move on to the bezdin. So the dayan, the judge, accepts payments from the litigants to settle a monetary dispute. Dina b'telim, not meant to accept money, and his verdict is null and void. Okay, so all the verdicts that he issued under pay, null and void. Lahaid, likewise, if a witness accepts pay to testify, dusa b'telim, his testimonies are null and void. Lahazois, l'kadesh meima, l'kadesh, we shift over to the paraduma. He takes pay to do the hazot, the sprinkling of the parah, which is a mitzvah, I'm going to get paid for it. L'kadesh, to manufacture the water, to mix the ashes in the water, to make the actual meima of meima ara. His water is useless, like spoiled water sitting in on a cave. Efer makla mikla. His ashes have the same status as just plain burned ashes. Totally not valid. Now, in all these cases, you have the fellow inspecting a bechor, you have the dayan. Okay, I'm not taking pay for my actual service, but look, in order to get to your place, vitim ohu mitrumasa, he had to walk through an area which made him tummy. So now he's unable to do his truma, which is cheaper than chulin, which has more demand, so it's more expensive. He'd rather eat his truma. Now he can't because he became tummy because of you. Could I compensate him? Yeah, that's just compensating for his losses. That's not paying him for his actual service. Machilu, mashke v'sachai, give him food, drink, and oil, smearing. Moyazake, likewise. This person was an older man who needed transportation. You can do that for him. Akiva el chamar. Ride him on the donkey. You're just facilitating. You're not paying him for his. Likewise. You can pay him for lost income. Again, you're not paying for the actual service. Just compensating for losses, that's okay. How do we know? You're not meant to get paid for teaching Torah, doing mitzvah services. Amar Vidamar Rav Damakra Pasuk says, Moshe Rabbeinu tells Klal Yisrael, Rei lemati eschem. Look, I taught you the Torah. Kasher, the Pasuk continues, Kasher tzivani Hashem l'koy, in the same manner that Hashem taught me. What was his message? Ma'ani bechinam. Just as I taught you, free of charge, the same way Hashem taught me, I didn't pay Hashem, I didn't charge you either. Avatam bechinam, likewise. In future generations, you teach. You're a conduit directly from Hashem through me to you. Keep the channel open, don't. Insert personal gain. And don't get paid. Tanam Yehoch, we find the same in the Braisa. Kashitzvan Hashem l'koi, mani bechinam, avatam bechinam. Umanayin continues the Braisa. Let's say a person wants to learn, but he can't find anybody for free. Shem l'motza bechinam, we can't find a Rebbe teach him free of charge. Should he go and invest money? Shelamed, sheilmad b'schar. How do we know that if he can't do it free, he should be willing to pay? Some of us learned that we're speaking that the Rebbe has loss of income, so you have to pay. Tamalaymar emes kanei. Be willing to buy the MS. MS is Torah. But then on the other hand, he shouldn't turn it around and pass on the bill to his Talmud. How do we know that he shouldn't say, okay, just like I had to pay to learn, likewise I'll charge to teach. No. MS Kanev al Timkar. If you need to buy, yeah. But don't turn around and sell it. Lahaz is a Lakadish. If a fellow allows himself to get paid for doing the Hazah, the Kiddush, or the Paraduma, Meimav, Meima'ara, Efer, Mikla, it's worthless. Ramenu, here comes a Kasha, a Mishnah Kiddushin, which seems to indicate that a person may accept payment for these services. A person approaches a woman. Instead of giving her a ring, gives her the Paraduma water, the ashes. Harizim Kadesh, that works because it has value. You can use it to offer services for pay. Okay, so apparently there is some money to be made on it. Even though Rashi explains primarily the Kohanim were involved in these activities, but even though he's a Yisrael, but the fact is he has access to it, and it has value because there is payment to be received for these services. In contrast to our Mishnah, which says it's meant to be done absolutely free. Amar Abaye. So Abaye, it depends what you're doing. You're just preparing, you can get paid for that. But the actual mitzvah you can't get paid for. The answer is, kam b'schar havo milui. The Mishnah there is speaking about pay that one can theoretically charge for transporting the water. So there wasn't always paraduma water available. They burnt it once in a lifetime. It was just a handful of paras burnt throughout the whole history. So what they did was they burnt, and they had a store of afer of the ashes, which they distributed throughout Klal Yisrael, and fill in a mix, right? There were instructions. If you run out of water, get some fresh water from the spring and mix it with a little ashes, and that's how. So every so often they would have to do it. You can charge for transporting the water from the spring to her location. You can do that. That's not the actual mitzvah. It's just preparing. Umiloi. Sorry, so Hava, Rashi says Schar Hava Sa'efer. Look at Rashi, he has a little different verse. He says Schar Hava Sa'efer. Schar Milui HaMayim. So the Hava means transporting the Efer, to bring the ashes over, and Milui means to fill the water, and So basically, all that manual work, which precedes the actual mitzvah of the sprinkling and the tahara, that you can get paid for. So it turns out that these materials have value in terms of the potential gain that one could have from getting paid, right, for preparing them. Kan b'schar hazor v'kiddush. Our Mishnah is speaking that is at the next point. The water is here. The ashes are here. It's just a question of performing and applying it, right? So kiddush is actually mixing the ashes with the water, which is preparing the holy water, and then hazah, the sprinkling of the water itself. So that's considered active mitzvah, and that Rashi calls it a heksher mitzvah, right? So the actual making of the paraduma water with the ashes, that's also considered an element of mitzvah, preparing the actual mitzvah water itself. So that meant to be done free of charge, and that's what our Mishnah is talking about. The economy, if you look closely at the wording of the Mishnah, you'll see this point. You'll see this distinction. The Tanya Mishnah says, over here the Mishnah says, lahazish lekadish. If one attempts to get paid for hazah, sprinkling, or lekadish, and sanctifying the water, that's not allowed. That's the actual mitzvah. V'hasam Tani, as opposed to there in Kedushin, it says hamakadish b'meichatos ube'efer. Rashi explains the mashma milui hamayim. Meichatos means the work that goes into filling and bringing. Ve'efer ikeluk v'havas efer. When it says ve'efer, it means that he's getting paid for the actual work of bringing the ve'efer chadash. Shmamino, that confirms the distinction. Okay, the Mishnah continues. If the kohen was compelled to become tamei due to his efforts and helping you, so you're allowed to compensate him for that loss. Now, question: what's the kohen doing getting tamei? We know that a kohen is warned against becoming tamei, against touching a mace, right? So what's he doing? Iyu gufa, the kohen himself, hechi azl. How could he be walking and interacting with tumah? Answer is, we're not speaking about a standard tumah min ha-Torah like a maze. But beis ha-pras rabbanon. Beis ha-pras is a field where they plowed over a grave. So min rabbanon, the whole field has the status of tumah, for concern that you might encounter a little bone chip the size of a sa'ira, of a barley. So min rabbanon you don't enter. But in reality, there are solutions. There are methods that can be employed to allow entry. The Amar B'Dam Rav. Menapech Adam Beis HaPras V'Hoilach. That a person who needs to get through there, and Rashi brings that this was a solution applied for a fellow who needs to do the carbon Pesach. He has to get through to find the. So he's allowed to blow through the area, blow on the ground, and hopefully blow away any problematic elements, any tainted materials, and goes through it. there's another option. We turn Talmud Beis. Arida bar Amim Shmei Arida Amari says Beis parshanut-torah. Likewise, the Beis Pras which had been heavily trodden upon, and presumably all chips were shattered or scattered, or buried, Torah, then it's okay. But again, this is specific to Korban Pesach needs, as Rashi explains. But regarding Truma, no. So even though he's allowed to go through it, because it's presumed to be free of Tumah, but that's only regarding certain matters, like Korban Pesach, which is time essential, time critical. But regarding other matters, like Truma, no. We don't presume you tahar, we give you a status of Tumah. And you can't eat Truma, because Truma is something which you can, not compelled to eat Truma today. So wait until you become tahar and go back to your Truma. So the interesting irony, on the one hand, we say it has a tahara status because it was blown and cleaned up. But it's only regarding certain matters, not regarding Truma. So you can walk through, but you can't eat Truma. Interesting. Taisa has a different approach. Taisa says that they can even go through there without cleaning it up, blowing it, if it's for the sake of a mitzvah, such as in our Mishnah. He's going for a good purpose, so he can go through there even without cleaning it up. But ultimately, we assume that he's tameh. Midrabanan. And regarding Truma, he can't. Okay, so we answered our question was, look, he became tameh. What's he doing there in the first place? The answer is they cleaned it up. But still, for Truma, he's considered tameh, or according to Taisa's pshat. Even without actually cleaning it up, you can go through it if it's for a mitzvah. But ultimately, it's considered tameh. Regarding so that explains why he's compelled to eat chulin. Inami, here comes another solution to our dilemma. What's he doing walking through there? There's no mace. Bishar tumois. Delay mazar alayu. The Kain's root took him through an area where there was another type of tumah, like a dead lizard, which is metame the Kain, disables him from truma, but in reality he had no isra doing that because a Kain is only warned against touching a mace. A lifeless person. So it was no issue for him to go there, but ultimately, since he becomes tameh, he's locked out of truma, and you have to look after him. Older man can be transported, and the Mishnah concludes you can pay him for his lost salary. Tana. How do we reckon that, lost wages? Kipel batal. As a worker who's just sitting idle. What do you mean, not sitting idle? He's litigating your case. Amar Abaye, it means like this. There's a Gersa actually, the Gemara asks the Kasha, what do you mean he's not batal? Perhaps the Gemara means he's not unemployed, he has work to do. Or conversely, the point is he's not sitting idle now. He's working. Says Abai, let me clarify what this term means. It means relative to his income. It's all about how much he was earning. So let's say he was a bricklayer. Very laborious, difficult physical work. And now he's having a little bit of an off day, sitting on the bezdin and settled in cases, right? Not as physically demanding work, right? So on the one hand, he's getting a little break, but the truth is, he doesn't mind working. I mean, he's got to pay his bills, right? That's his profession. But at the same time, he's willing to give a little discount for having a little, lighter work today, right? So you give him a wage which is relative, right? Relative to his income and to his level of hardship, which he's getting a reprieve from today. So Rashi says, for instance, if he was making $3, and now you're giving him work, which is much easier, so he'll drop down and take $1. But at the same time, let's say he was a diamond cutter, relatively easy work with lots of income. Well, he's not interested in dropping down because you're not really giving him a much easier job than he has. In which case, in this case, you have to pay him full rate to compensate him for his actual income. So basically, you have to evaluate and judge each case individually. Continues the Mishnah. A fellow who's suspected of mishandling the bechor, for instance. Rashi says you have a kohen who is known to inflict his bechor with a mum, so that he can eat it without having to wait around until, right? Which of course is an isra, not meant to apply a mum to your bechor. So since this fellow is suspected of mishandling his bechor, Chachamim instituted a fine. We penalize him. We can't buy from him meat. And even basar tzivayim, tzvi, it's a certain kind of like a chaya, kosher chaya, even though it's not related to bechor. Bechor is only on behemos. The Gemara explains because the two meats are similar in their looks, so they might get mixed up. So you can't buy from them even that kind of meat, because that meat is similar to the meat of a calf, Rashi, the Gemara says, which could be a bechor, so we keep away from his meat. But nor do you buy from unprocessed hides. The Gemara explains that we're concerned that it might be a bechor hide, but if it's fully processed, he wouldn't risk investing significant effort and time in processing his illicit material, for concern that he might get confiscated. It's not worth the effort. But quick turnover, rough hide, that he would do, which arouses a concern that it's really from the bechor. Female skins you could buy, because that's not bechor. Nor do you buy from him wool from a sheep, right? Tzemer meluban. Meluban is, it's already been washed, or still in its unwashed, unclean state. But if he's selling you tavi, threads which has been spun already, so he put in all that effort, or begadim, or finished garments, presumably it's not from the bechor, because he wouldn't put in that effort if it was illicit material. Now what's wrong with buying basar tzivayim? It's a chaya, it's not a bechor. The michlav b'de'egla, it could be confused due to its redness with calf's meat, which can be a bechor. Nor do you buy unprocessed hides. But if it's processed, there was effort put into it, you can buy it from him. Rest assured, it's not from bechor. Why? Misa the bechor have it, because if it was from a bechor, but he wouldn't put in the effort. So he's thinking to himself, all I need is that Rabban find out, boom, they confiscate my whole merchandise. They'll take it away from me. Female skins is okay as well. My time of why? People can easily discern. This is from a female animal, it's not a bechor. Tanakama. He responds by saying no. In Kain Zachar Nami. If you allow him to sell Nekeva, he might sell the Zachar from the bechor. I'll carve out the male area to make it undiscernible. I'll pretend, I'll say, you know why it's chewed up? The mice got to it, but really it's from the female. So we don't differentiate, we ban all across the board. V'idach. Eliezer responds, no. Just because I allow him to sell the female hides, it's not going to lead to male hides which were cut out. Because you can't cover up a story by saying, well, the mice ate it up. You can tell if mice chewed something, and otherwise you see it's a clean cut. He did it. He wouldn't dare do that because it's noticeable. In which case, according to Eliezer, it's safe to buy from him the female skins. It's not going to lead to more. Nor do you buy wool, whether clean or not clean. Well, if you're not going to even allow clean wool, of course not the unclean, which is less effort, less work. But there's more of a concern that this might be illegal material. So once the Mishnah disallows the clean, of course the unclean, what's the point of mentioning them both? Rather it's one case. You don't buy wool, even though it's been, washed out from its uncleanliness. It doesn't take much effort to do that, and who'll risk that little effort? So it's not an indication of innocence. But threads and garments, that's okay. Isn't that redundant? If you buy threads, which requires less effort than garments, so even there we know you're safe. But of course, garments. Second example, begadim doesn't mean threads that were woven into begadim, into real material. It means namti, felt, where they use actual fibers, unspun fibers, and press it into materials, into felt. So tavi is a one-step process, spinning, and begadim is also a one-step process, taking raw fibers and pressing them. So two examples of one-step manufacturing. And the chiddush is that even this he wouldn't risk for concern that it might be confiscated. Next Mishnah, a fellow is suspected of mishandling shvius material, planting a shmita, or buying and selling shvius produce. Ein loikim mena pishtan afilu serek. You don't buy even flax, even comb flax. It doesn't take much effort to do it, and he would risk that effort. And some Farshim learn Pishtan. The reason why is because it has Kedusha Shvius, it has the flax seed in it, which is technically edible. Some learn the concerns that he was engaged in planting, so that's a malacha of planting. So keep away from his materials. Once again, if you encounter him selling finished products, spun threads, materials, then you're in safe territory. He wouldn't risk that effort for concern that it might go to waste. And once again, if you can buy the threads, why does the Mishnah have to give you the allowance for garments, for materials, which is more advanced, it takes more effort? Of course, that's my arg tichi. When it says arg, it doesn't mean a material weave, it means tichi, where they braid together unspun flax fibers. So again, it's just a one-step process. Nevertheless, he wouldn't put in that work if it was illegal. Another fellow suspected of selling truma, pretending that it's chulin, and he discovered his ruse. Keep away. Keep far away. Not even wine, not even water or salt, which have no relation to truma. You never take truma off water or salt. Nevertheless, we have a broad ban. Don't buy any food materials from this fellow. Rav Shimon Omer, no. Only if there's some truma concern, some potential truma concern. Shimon Omer, kol sheyesh bezikas truma master, it's only something which has some connection to truma master. And you can't buy. What's Rabbi Shimon adding with this broad description? Kol sheyesh bezikas asuye kirei dogim. Fish innards, fish materials. So in these fish innards, they tend to mix in some olive oil. So that's a material which has some relation to truma-related material. The fish itself is exempt from truma, of course. But don't even buy that, because typically oil is part of the recipe, so they issued a ban even on this material as well. In fact, there was a story, with Tabcha, this dishonest butcher, he was discovered to be selling tarba, turn to the next llama, tarba, forbidden fats, tarba da atma, on the back, on the thigh, b'mar de kanta. So we have two pshatim in mar. Rashi says b'cheskas. He would sell it as though it was kanta, which is permissible fats, which are found in the intestinal area of the animal. Taisus learns b'mar means in exchange, b'chiluf, in exchange he would mislabel it as kosher fat. And it was discovered. Can't say Rava Lizvuni Afila Maguzi. Rava found out, he issued a ban, a knas. He can't even sell nuts. Now, what's the connection between nuts and fat? I'm going to Papa Rava. So Papa asked him, come on, Rabbi Yehuda? Are you following Rabbi Yehuda's shita? That we issue a broad ban on all materials, including nuts? Well, Rabbi Yehuda comes, Rabbi Yehuda Afila Melech Nami, so it apply even to water and salt. I mean, why are you stopping at nuts? No, we're going like Reb Shimon. That the ban is pinpointed, directed at risky material only, problematic merchandise only. We're going Reb Shimon. And the Isra is only on the material that he sinned with. Okay, so then back to the question. He sinned with fats. Why are you including nuts? The answer is nuts were part of the deal. Stam dardaki, you see, typically kids, guru, they're drawn after bamagoyz, after nuts. Okay, after a candy bar. So what did this honest butcher do? He would go and solicit the sons of local butchers in the area. Okay, he would mislead them. He would buy them off with a couple of candies. He would draw them with the nuts. To do what? He would tell them, "Listen, go home, and when your father's not looking, grab the the fats that's sitting on the side, the forbidden fat that he's not paying attention. Put it on the side, not paying attention. Grab it from me, bring it in here, and you'll get your nuts." They would bring him this forbidden fat, and he would repackage it. He would sell it as kosher fats. Okay, so since the nuts were used as part of the scheme, it facilitated the whole dishonesty, so the Isra was applied to the nuts as well. Okay, many missions today. We started with the Riyas HaBachar. It's meant to be done free of charge, except for a known mumcha, like Ila B'Yavna, who was allowed to charge a set rate, 4 for the Daka, 6 for the Gasa. Whether it was a Talmud Bavli, we discussed the factors at play. Teaching Torah, adjudicating Dinei Torah, testifying, offering the paraduma water, all that is meant to be bechinam, just as Hashem taught Moshe taught us bechinam. It's meant to be a continuous change. 17 Torah l'shem shemayim, b'mizakah mitzvah l'shem shemayim, but he can be compensated for on-the-job losses, transportation expenses, and loss of wages. We moved on to fellows which are suspected of wrongdoing, chashash al-bachar, keep away from his materials. Where there's any chashash of Isra, likewise, the fellows chashash al-shvius, and to sell truma. And we end up with a story regarding the importance of being honest in the butcher field. All the best to you, and atzlacha rab.